Hello, Carlson Supplemental teachers. This is the orientation video part 14, and I'm Joe Salvamini. I'm your principal. And this deals specifically with the updates for the 2014-2015 school year. Now, some of these issues are issues that are brand new, and they're now included in the end part of the supplemental orientation packet. And some of the issues that we're going to go over are issues that may have been covered in the orientation videos previously, but they're issues that we continue to have challenges with and issues with, and so I want to wind up stressing them here. A few things I want to talk about are number one, teachers are not social workers. Teachers are in the homes to teach, and that's all they're there for. Teachers are not to be making phone calls on and doing the social work type issues. And it's also very important that when teachers go into the homes and neighborhoods that you remain culturally sensitive to what's going on over there, meaning that you might be in a type of a neighborhood that it wouldn't be appropriate, for example, for you to talk with the parent and say, is it safe for me to be here? Is it okay if I leave my car out there because I'm worried that it's going to get burglarized or something. That's not really the type of conversations you want to have with parents. Additionally, and I can't stress this part enough, but teachers, you're there in the home for 5 hours. Our students only get 5 hours of instruction per week. Every single minute of those 5 hours must count, and they must be provided. I don't expect any movies to be shown. I don't expect fluff. I expect that students are going to have a full agenda of instruction. And teachers also need to know that when you come to the office, that's not included in the students' 5 hours of instruction. Coming in to pick up tests or to pick up materials, that's not included in the 5 hours of instruction. The only thing that's counted for the 5 hours of instruction is you sitting there with the child, you're working with the student, and that's part of the 5 hours of instruction. And you also need to make sure that when you record on your register payroll form that you were there for 90 minutes or 100 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever it is, that is accurate, because that's the amount of time. I've been getting reports. I've gotten reports from parents saying that the teacher leaves 15 minutes early. I don't want to hear that. You need to stay the entire time. If you're leaving early and you're charging the district for it, that's fraud. Okay. Now, once you get an assignment, you've already put in for the different zip codes that you're willing to work in, and I'm going to be looking at assignments. When I make assignments, I look at the zip codes. I look at the the levels that you prefer to work with, whether it's elementary or secondary. I look for the highest level of math you can work with. I look whether you have special ed credentials or not. There are a number of different factors that go in here, and once I make the assignment, if I made a big error, for example, that's different, but very seldom does that happen. And once you get that assignment, then you cannot then turn around to me and say, I don't want the assignment. All right, if you put in for 2 students, and you have 1 student currently on your caseload, and I assign you the second student, that student is yours. Anytime the student's circumstances change, you need to notify your rep immediately. If the student can't be there during a certain time of day, or the student goes into the hospital, you need to notify your rep, right away. Student absences, if your student has 3 absences or more because of medical reasons, then you need to contact the school nurse, our school nurse. If the student is not there and you're not able to provide services because when you get to the home, the parent's not there, the student's not there, the student's not awake, then those are the types of things you get in touch with either the assistant principal or the principal for. And the one thing you want to do is that you want to make sure that you're very proactive. When you look at the waiting for teacher lists that come out, you're very proactive and you request students. You're not really requesting students. You're turning around and you're telling me, Joe, please consider me for this student over here because I think that I'm a perfect match for this student. And I definitely look at that information. One thing I want to be clear with is that if you don't point out students to me that you want me to consider for you, then I'm going to be looking at the list of students and I'm going to be looking for perfect matches, and you may be a perfect match even though you didn't tell me ahead of time that you thought you might have been. So it's probably best that you look at the emails that come through and you point out some students to me. Now Carlson relies very, very heavily on emails. It is expected, it's a district policy that you will check your emails daily. It's certainly Carlson's expectations that you will check your emails daily, and emails that come to you that you need to make sure that you read the emails in their entirety. One of the things that's happening is that we're getting calls from teachers and it happens to be information that we've already sent out to you, and you're asking us questions that is very obvious that you haven't read the email. Make sure you read those emails. And then the other district requirement is that you have enough room on your email account, because if you don't empty your delete file, for example, then you may not have enough room for us to send you emails. If we can't send you emails, our method of communication with you has stopped. And it is, again, your responsibility to make sure that your email is always available for us to send emails to you. The other thing is that when you get ConnectEd messages from us, we try to send the ConnectEd messages later on in the evenings, but sometimes you may get them during the day. It is also expected that you will listen to those ConnectEd messages. And by the way, just so that you know, after the ConnectEd messages go out, then administrators can go back in and we can look to see whether you've listened to the message, how long you've listened to the message, if you've listened to the message in its entirety. We can tell if the message has gone to voicemail, if it's been actively picked up and listened to. There are a number of different ways it will filter for us to view the ConnectEd messages. Now, another thing is that you need to make sure that when you send in your paperwork, and we're very, very strict on this, that your paperwork is timely and it's accurate. Basically, your register payrolls are due in on Friday after your last student is served. Please don't move it. After your last student is served, and your weekly schedules are due in on Mondays by 9 a.m. And a big issue here is that when you send your register payroll in, there is a reason why I tell you not to send it in until after your last student is served on Fridays. That means, if you read between the lines there, that that you should have no mistakes on what's sent in to us. You send it in electronically for week 1, you send it in electronically for week 2. You know, when you send it in electronically for week 2, what you have for weeks 1 and 2 should also match what you had when you sent it in on week 1. At least week 1 on both editions should match. And then when you send us your hard copy, your signed hard copy at the end of the month, whatever is there should match all of the electronic versions of the copies that you sent in to us. Okay. Let's see. You know, now if you don't send your register payroll in, then you won't get paid on time. You know, because we base your payroll on what's sent in to us. So, you know, you need to make sure you send that in on time. The other thing is that when you send the register payrolls in to us, you have to remember that we have well over 200 teachers that work for us, and all these registers are coming in on a weekly basis, and when we get this information in, we have to then compile it, we have to calculate it, we have to divide everything up, and oh, I forget the term I use, but we have to disaggregate the information, and then we have to recompile it and send it off to the district and to the state, you know, for the statistical and classification reports, and the only way we can do this if everything comes in on time. Okay. Yes. Let's see. When you send mail into Carlson, please make sure that you put down, you know, Carlson counselor, Carlson nurse, Carlson administrator. You know, make sure that you're sending your mail into a very specific person. It could be, if it's your rep, you can name your rep and you can put down who it's to. But you know, we spend a lot of time here getting information from you, and if we know right away it needs to go to the nurse, then it goes right to the nurse. We don't have to then go through and have somebody screen the information and then decide where it's going. Let's see, that's it on that one. Okay. Now regarding the referrals, you know, about 2 or 3 weeks before the medical expiration date or the psychiatric expiration date of your student, if the parent feels that the student is still going to qualify for Carlson, then you should give that parent a new medical or psychiatric referral, you know, about 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. So this way there's no interruption in service. Remember, we are only authorized to work with students during the duration of the time that the doctor says that we can work with the student. So if the doctor says that we can work with the student through, you know, November 15th, and it's now November 16th, we no longer have authorization to work with the student. And so that means we may have an interruption in service if the student can't go back to school. If you know, now once we get the referral, you will know that it's been, you know, that the referral has been approved, because our school nurse will contact you by email and let